Hello, this is Faith at Faith and Books, and I'm going to do the rest of the alphabet tag. I did A through R. Was it last Tuesday? I think it was, except I made it last Sunday. So I'm going to finish that up and do the rest S through Z. And this was originated by Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff. And I have not gone to see his channel. I'm going to do that right after I make this video. But I saw it at Steve Donahue's. I actually didn't even get through Steve's. I think I saw through his letter U. And then I had to go. And I never resumed watching. Anyway, so I have homework to do to catch up on these things. But anyway, this should be much shorter than my previous one, which was A through R. So I'll start right away. It's the first letter in this tag is S. S is for science fiction. What is your favorite science fiction novel? So as I just expressed in my video on Kindred, I'm not that into science fiction. I have not read that much. But I do remember really loving Wrinkle in Time when I was a kid. I know I read that a few times. And then as a teenager and even as a homeschooling mom, I read this book several times with my kids, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And then most recently, I discovered this book, Lord of the World by Robert Hugh Benson. And this, I've read this 3 times in adulthood. He wrote it around the turn of the last century. And I forget now when it was set, but it's set, okay, let's see, did he write it in 1917? But it's set in like 1999 or something like that. But it's very steampunk, and it's weirdly off on his predictions of the future, and yet weirdly on point. And it's just, I find it really fascinating. So Lord of the World, I guess, would be my current favorite science fiction book, even though I don't do science fiction very much. All right, T is for trope, tag, and many other things. You can create your own prompt for T. So Steve Donahue did translation, which I think was a good one, but I feel like I know a lot of people are focusing on reading works in translation this year. And I really admire that and would like to do that. But I feel like I just already had ideas in mind for what I was going to do for this year. So I think next year might be my year where I'm going to deliberately try to read more books in translation. But so I decided I would just use T to talk about a favorite subject of mine, and I hope it doesn't bore you, but I like theology. So I just picked out 3 books that I thought were really easy to read that taught you about basic theology. I'm Catholic, so these are all coming from a Catholic perspective, although I think others would enjoy it too, just even if you're just intellectually interested or whatever. So the first one is The Creed in Slow Motion by Ronald Knox. He was actually a priest, a Monsignor in England during World War II. He translated the Bible, and he also wrote murder mysteries, and he was sort of included in that same circle with Agatha Christie. I've only read a couple of his murder mysteries. They're very much in that frame, you know, what do I want to say? They're very identifiable as sort of that time period of mystery. Anyway, so this was actually a collection of talks he gave to a group of girls, schoolgirls. So during World War II, a bunch of girls were sent out to a girls' school out in the country, out from London, and he was made the head of the school. And so on Sunday afternoons, he would give lessons on the faith, like, you know, religious education lessons, and they were compiled into this book. So this is really aimed at, say, 10 and up, but very thorough, very well described, you know, easy to read and yet very profound. So well written. So I recommend this if you're interested. Another English person who was very popular, had a very popular Catholic publishing company in England wrote this book. And I actually had to use this as a text. I've taken a couple of theology classes online. This was a text for it, F.G. Sheen, and Sheed, not Sheen, Sheed, and Ward and Sheed, or Sheed and Ward, that was the publisher's name. Anyway, this is a little bit denser to get through because it's adult theology, but it's written for the layman. It's written for somebody who's just beginning to inquire. So I thought it was very well done, and a very good introduction, a very thorough, solid introduction. Theology and Sanity by F.J. Sheed. And then this came out very recently. This is The Light of Christ, an Introduction to Catholicism by Thomas Joseph White, O.P. He's a Dominican. He lives here in Washington, D.C. And this is a little bit denser, too. It's written for adults who have, are making a real intellectual inquiry. It's very Thomistic, because, of course, he's a Dominican, but very, very well written. I mean, really well laid out, really well written. So I read this a couple years ago, and I just thought it was great. So, all right, so those are my 3 theology books for T. All right, the next one is U. U is for unicorn. What is your favorite mythical animal? Well, right now, I think this was the very first thing that came to mind. Oh, what did I do with it? Oh, here it is. Is Boris the Dragon from the My Father's Dragon series. I have been reading these 3 books over and over again to the 5-year-old for a year now. This is probably the one we've read the least, but there you go. There's Boris, there's Elmer Elevator, and they have all sorts of adventures saving Boris's family from these men who have captured the whole dragon family. So yeah, so it would be Boris the Dragon. All right, V. V is for Violet. What is your favorite Violet book? I didn't know what that meant, but violets, it made me think of flowers, and that made me think of this book, The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady by Edith Holden. And I looked in there, and sure enough, it's just gorgeous illustrations. So there you go. There is a dog violet. And all sorts of beautiful flowers in here and illustrations. Really, really lovely book. Yeah, I love this. It was so tragic. She drowned. Look, there she is, Edith Holden. She drowned in a pond. She had, these heavy dress on. And when she fell in the pond, she just sank and drowned before anyone could get to her. Isn't that terrible? Anyway, she died very young. But she left us this gorgeous legacy of this really, really charming, really lovely book. So that's what I thought of for Violet. E is for Violet. All right, W is for why. If you have a Booktube channel, why did you start it? I did it on an impulse. I had just started watching things on YouTube. I watched more like political stuff, or I watched homeschooling stuff, and then homesteading stuff. But occasionally I would watch a Booktube video. I think it was Katie at Books and Things was my first one. And I only did it for a few weeks before I thought, I don't know why I did it, because I'm very nervous about technology, and I'm not somebody who likes to talk to crowds or anything like that. I don't know what got into me. I must have been bored or something. But I just love the idea of connecting to a bunch of people who are really into books. And that was my, inspiration. And so I just started. So that's it. And it's been a fun hobby. I mean, I know I'm never going to get to the level of editing, or I don't have the depth that some people have, but it's just fun. It's a fun community to be a part of, I think. All right, I lost okay, here we go. Next one is X. X is for xenocide. Well, I couldn't think of anything, but that made me think of Xenophon. And I do have this book, The Exploits of Xenophon, by, what's the guy's name? Geoffrey Household. And I discovered this book in a used bookstore, and it's a wonderful, I mean, it's like supposed to be for junior high or whatever. It's a wonderful retelling of the exploits of Xenophon. And it's very well written, even though it's for a younger audience. It was copyrighted in 1955. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I gave it to my middle son, and he thoroughly enjoyed it. And I have reread it since then. I haven't read the original. I would like to, of course, in translation. But this is a very, very good retelling of it. So, The Exploits of Xenophon by, I always forget his name, Geoffrey Household. Yeah. All right. So that's for X. For Y. Y is for YouTube. Apart from Booktubers, what YouTube channels do you like to watch? So, maximum of 3, which is good because I watch a ton. I watch too much. I really think I do. But a couple, I'm just going to name like some of the more outlandish ones. I have lately really started watching the Socialist channel. It's Katie Halper. I'll link below. But she does a lot of interviews with people, and she's got such a different angle on what's going on. And I don't agree with a lot of it, but I do think they have a lot of, she seems to have a lot of integrity, and I do agree with some of the things. So I find that really interesting. And then let's see, that's in the political realm, but let's see, let's do something else. I just started going to a YouTube channel called Parisian Farm Girl. I think that's what it's called. I'll link below. And not just, I've been going there for a few months, or going there watching it. And I just think she's pretty charming. They have a 1980s eco house, whatever that is, on the peninsula, on the Door County Peninsula in Wisconsin, and it sticks out into some great lake. Is it Superior? I don't know what lake it is, what great lake it is that the peninsula juts out to. But anyway, so they're really out there, and she is turning this farmhouse into something like a French country home, and she loves to go thrifting, and she finds all these treasures, and she's really clever about how she puts together, and it's just gorgeous. But on top of that, she has 6 children. She's got, she has a farm. She has cows and chickens and stuff, and she homeschools. So it's just kind of amazing. And she's very down to earth. She's not stuffy. I enjoy her videos, so I'll link to that. And then the last one that I was going to say, and this one's been on for a while. It's called Modern History, and it's a British guy who trains horses, and he's really enamored with the Middle Ages and how they did things in the Middle Ages. And it's very, very interesting. It's very well done, very well researched. So I really enjoy his take on history on that time period, and his expertise coming at it from horses and knights and that sort of thing. So those will be my 3, and I'll link below. Let's see, and then that was Y. So now we only have 1 left, and the last one is Z is for zero. What is your favorite book about nothing? Well, I'm just going to take the word zero. My favorite book about zero waste is The Zero Waste Home by Bea Johnson. She is a woman who, she kind of spearheaded the zero waste movement. She lives outside of San Francisco, so it's a little bit easier to be environmentally friendly there because they're already on top of that, or at least they're a lot further along than we are here. And some things, some things that she does is like way more than I could ever do. But she has a lot of stuff that you can glean from her, a lot of practices and methods, and she's solved a lot of the problems for you. She's figured out how you can avoid bringing waste into your house so that you're not filling trash bags every week to go to the landfill. So there's a lot of practical advice in it. You might not be able to adapt everything, but it's, even if you do like a quarter of it, you'd be doing so much more than most people. You'd be getting there. So Zero Waste Home by Bea Johnson is going to be the book I'd recommend for the Z prompt. So that's it. So how long did I talk? 15 minutes. Oh my gosh, I talk too much. So I'm going to put the links below, and I tag anybody who wants to finish up the A through Z alphabet tag. And I hope you're doing well, and happy reading. Bye.